There comes a moment in your life when you must decide, will you continue reacting to the world as it appears, or will you rise and create the world as it should be? Because everything you see right now, every condition, every circumstance, was once nothing more than a feeling accepted within you. And if it was created that way, it can be changed the same way. Tonight, you are not here to hope, to wish, or to wait. You are here to discover a power so immediate, so precise, that the moment you truly feel something real within you, reality itself has no choice but to follow. There is a subtle but profound truth that governs everything in your world, and once you grasp it, your entire approach to life will change. It is not your thoughts alone, nor your words, nor even your actions that create your reality. It is your feeling. Feeling is the secret force that breathes life into every idea, every assumption, every desire you hold within yourself. You may think many thoughts throughout the day, but only those that are impressed with feeling take root and begin to shape your world. You see, a thought without feeling is like a seed left on dry ground. It has potential, yes, but it lacks the nourishment required to grow. Feeling is that nourishment. It is the acceptance of a thought as true, the quiet inner knowing that says, this is real. And the moment you feel something to be real, regardless of what your senses may show, you have begun the act of creation. Most people live unaware of this. They allow their feelings to be dictated by appearances. If the world shows them lack, they feel lack. If it shows them rejection, they feel unworthy. In doing so, they unknowingly continue to recreate the very conditions they wish to escape. They are reacting instead of creating, but you are not here to react. You are here to choose. When you understand that feeling is the creative act, you realize that you are not at the mercy of the outer world. Instead, the outer world is at the mercy of your inner state. This is a complete reversal of everything you have been taught. It requires discipline, not of action, but of awareness. You must become conscious of what you are feeling throughout your day, because those feelings are silently shaping your future. Now, this does not mean forcing emotions or pretending to feel something you do not. True feeling is not loud or dramatic. It is subtle, natural, and convincing. It is the feeling you would have if your desire were already a fact. For example, if what you desired were already yours, would you feel anxious? Would you feel desperate? No. You would feel at ease. You would feel certain. You would feel complete. That is the feeling you must cultivate, not by effort, but by gentle acceptance. You step into the state as though you are remembering something, not trying to make it happen. You allow yourself to experience the inner satisfaction of having already received. And as you dwell in that feeling, even for a few moments, you are impressing it upon the deeper level of your mind. That deeper level does not argue, it does not question. It simply accepts what is felt to be true and begins to express it in form. This is why feeling is so powerful. It bypasses logic, bypasses doubt, and goes straight to the source of creation. You may not see immediate results, and this is where many lose faith. But understand this, the moment you truly feel it real, something has shifted. The seed has been planted. And like all seeds, it requires time to grow. Your role is not to dig it up in doubt, but to remain faithful to the feeling that planted it. Return to it often, not as a chore, but as a choice. Each time you revisit that feeling, you strengthen it. You make it more natural, more dominant, until it becomes your default state. And when it becomes your state, it must become your reality. So do not underestimate the power of what you feel, even in the quietest moments. Those unseen feelings are shaping the visible world in ways you may not yet understand. Choose them wisely, nurture them deliberately, because in the end, it is not what you want that manifests. It is what you feel to be true. There is a profound shift that must take place within you if you are to truly understand how creation works. It is the shift from seeking to being, from chasing to embodying, from hoping something will happen to knowing it already has. Most people spend their lives moving toward their desires. They are always in pursuit, always in motion, always reaching for something just beyond their grasp. But in doing so, they unknowingly affirm that what they want is separate from them, distant from them, and not yet theirs. And so it remains that way. To live from the end means to completely reverse this pattern. It means you no longer look at your desire as something to be achieved in the future, but as something that is already accomplished, not physically perhaps, but inwardly, completely. You assume the position of the person who already has it, already is it, already lives it. This is not an act of imagination for entertainment. It is an act of identity. Ask yourself, if your desire were fulfilled right now, who would you be? How would you think? How would you feel as you move through your day? What would no longer bother you? What would feel natural to you? These are not questions to analyze. They are states to enter. Living from the end is not about visualizing occasionally and then returning to your old self. It is about a quiet inner shift that stays with you. It is the difference between visiting a place and moving into it. You must move into the state of the wish, fulfilled, and dwell there, mentally and emotionally, until it feels like home. This requires letting go of the old story, the old identity that says, I am still waiting, or I don't have it yet. Because as long as you identify with that version of yourself, you will continue to experience a world that reflects it. You cannot serve two states at once. You cannot be both the one who has and the one who longs. You must choose. Now, many will ask, how can I live as though it's done when I see no evidence? But this question reveals the very habit that must be broken. You have been conditioned to rely on your senses as the authority of truth. But the senses only report what has already been created. They do not determine what is being created now. Your inner state does. So you must learn to trust the unseen more than the seen. You must value the inner experience above the outer appearance. When you do this, something remarkable begins to happen. The world no longer controls your state. You control your state, and the world begins to respond. Living from the end feels different. It is not filled with urgency or pressure. There is a calmness, a certainty, a quiet confidence. The struggle disappears because there is nothing to struggle for. You are no longer trying to make something happen. You are allowing what is already yours to unfold. And when doubts arise, as they inevitably will, you do not fight them or give them power. You simply return to the end. You remind yourself of who you now are. You step back into that feeling, that knowing, that inner reality, again and again, until it becomes natural, until it becomes you. This is the discipline, not of action, but of assumption, not of effort, but of persistence in being. And as you remain faithful to this state, the outer world must rearrange itself to match it. It has no choice, for it is only reflecting you. So stop walking toward your desire as though it is far away. Stand in the end as though it is already yours. Because the moment you truly live from it, you will discover it was never separate from you at all. There is a misunderstanding so deeply rooted in human thinking that it keeps people bound to circumstances they believe they cannot change. It is the belief that the outer world, the events, conditions, and people around them, is the cause of their experience. From this belief comes struggle, fear, and the constant effort to manipulate what is seen in hopes of producing a different result. But this approach will always lead to frustration because it is based on an illusion. The outer world is not the cause, it is the reflection. What you see around you is not creating your inner state, it is revealing it. It is a mirror, faithfully showing you what you have accepted as true within yourself. Every condition you encounter, every pattern that repeats, every reaction you receive from others, it all corresponds to something happening inside you, often unnoticed and unquestioned. This is not something to fear, it is something to understand. Because if the outer world were truly the cause, you would be powerless to change it. You would be at the mercy of chance, circumstance, and the actions of others. But if it is a reflection, then you hold the key. You are the source. And what is reflected can be changed, not by forcing the mirror, but by altering what stands before it. Consider a simple mirror. You do not attempt to change your reflection by touching the glass. You do not argue with it, nor do you try to reshape it directly. You change yourself, and the reflection changes automatically. The same principle applies to life. The world you experience is the mirror, and your inner state is the image it reflects. Yet most people live as though the mirror has power over them. They react to what they see, and in reacting, they reinforce it. If they encounter rejection, they feel rejected. If they see lack, they feel deprived. And those feelings, accepted as true, continue to project the same images outward. It becomes a cycle, one that appears real, but is entirely self-sustained. To break this cycle, you must withdraw your attention from appearances as the authority. You must stop treating the outer world as the final word. Instead, you turn inward and ask a different question. Not why is this happening to me, but what am I accepting as true that is being reflected here? This question shifts your power back to where it belongs. When you identify the inner assumption, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are the author of it. And as the author, you can revise. You can choose a new state, a new feeling, a new belief about yourself and your world. Now, this does not mean denying what you see or pretending it does not exist. It means understanding its nature. You acknowledge it as a reflection of past assumptions, not as a fixed reality. And instead of reacting to it emotionally, you choose to feel differently within. You choose the state you prefer. If the world shows you limitation, you feel abundance. If it shows you delay, you feel completion. Not because you are ignoring reality, but because you are creating a new one. This requires persistence. Because the reflection may not change immediately, there is often a delay between the inner shift and the outer expression. And during this time, you will be tempted to return to old reactions. But this is the moment that defines everything. Will you trust the mirror or will you trust yourself? If you remain faithful to your new inner state, the reflection must change. It is not a matter of chance, it is law. The outer world has no choice but to conform to the inner pattern you consistently hold. So begin to see your world differently, not as something happening to you, but as something expressing from you. Let every experience become feedback, not a final verdict. And when you change within, do not look immediately for confirmation. Know that it is already done. Because the reflection is never ahead of you, it is always following. There is a quiet discipline that separates those who merely imagine from those who truly transform their reality. It is not talent, nor luck, nor even intensity of desire. It is persistence. Not persistence in effort, but persistence in assumption. The ability to remain faithful to an inner state, even when the outer world offers no immediate confirmation, is the key that turns possibility into fact. Many begin the process with enthusiasm. They feel the reality of their desire for a moment, perhaps even experience a deep sense of certainty. But then they return to their daily life and the world appears unchanged. The same conditions remain, the same challenges present themselves, and slowly, almost unnoticed, they slip back into old patterns of thinking and feeling. In doing so, they abandon the very state that would have transformed their world. This is where persistence becomes essential. To assume something once is powerful, but to persist in that assumption, to return to it again and again, to dwell in it, to make it your dwelling place, is what impresses it deeply upon the creative level of your being. It is not repetition of words that matters, but repetition of feeling. Each time you revisit the state of the wish fulfilled, you strengthen it. You give it more solidity, more reality, until it begins to feel natural. And what feels natural must eventually express itself. You must understand that the outer world is not instant in its response. There is a bridge of events, often unseen and unpredictable, that unfolds between your assumption and its physical expression. During this time, your only task is to remain loyal to the state you have chosen. Not perfectly, but consistently, doubt may arise, contradictions may appear. Circumstances may seem to oppose what you have assumed, but these are not signs of failure. They are remnants of previous states, echoes of past assumptions that are still playing out. If you react to them, you give them new life. If you persist in your chosen state, they fade. This is the test not of your worthiness, but of your steadiness. Can you remain in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, even when nothing seems to confirm it? Can you return to that inner knowing again and again without being shaken by appearances? Persistence is not force, it is not struggle. It is a gentle but firm returning, like a compass that always points north, no matter how many times it is disturbed. You return to your chosen state. Not with tension, but with quiet certainty. You do not need to monitor every thought or emotion. You simply become aware when you have drifted, and you guide yourself back. Each return strengthens your assumption. Each moment of dwelling in the end deepens its impression. Over time, something remarkable happens. The state no longer feels like something you are practicing. It feels like who you are. It becomes your default, your natural way of being. And when that happens, the outer world has no resistance left. It must reflect the change. You do not need to chase results, because results are the byproduct of a sustained inner state. When the assumption is stable, the manifestation is inevitable. So do not be discouraged by time. Do not measure your progress by what you see. Measure it by your ability to remain faithful to the feeling. That is the true work. That is the true power. Stay with it, return to it, live in it, because persistence in the assumption is not just a technique. It is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, between who you were and who you have chosen to become. There is a kind of faith that the world often misunderstands. It is not blind belief, nor is it the passive hope that something good may happen someday. True faith is far more precise, far more deliberate. It is loyalty, loyalty to an unseen reality that you have accepted within yourself, even when everything around you seems to deny it. Most people think faith begins when there is evidence, but that is not faith, that is confirmation. Faith begins before there is any sign, before there is any proof, before there is anything in the outer world to support your claim. It is the decision to remain true to what you have felt inwardly, regardless of what your senses report. When you enter the state of your wish fulfilled, when you feel it real within you, something is set in motion. A new reality has been accepted at the deepest level of your being, but the outer world does not always change instantly. There is a delay, a period where the unseen is becoming seen, And it is in this interval that faith is tested. Will you remain loyal to what you felt, or will you abandon it the moment you see something contrary? This is where many falter. They feel it real for a moment, and then they look outward. They search for signs, for confirmation, for validation. And when they do not find it, doubt begins to grow. That doubt is not harmless, it is a shift in loyalty. It is turning away from the unseen reality and returning to the old one. Faith requires something different. It requires that you trust the inner experience more than the outer evidence. It asks you to stand firm in a reality that only you can feel, that only you can know, until it becomes visible to all. This is not easy, because you have been conditioned to rely on your senses. You have been taught that seeing is believing. But here the order is reversed. Believing is seeing. You must give your allegiance to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, not occasionally, but consistently. Not when it is convenient, but especially when it is challenged. When the world shows you the opposite of what you desire, that is not the time to waver. That is the time to deepen your loyalty. You do not fight the outer world. You simply refuse to let it dictate your inner state. This loyalty is quiet. It does not need to be announced or proven. It is a steady knowing, a calm assurance that what you have accepted within is real regardless of appearances. It is the ability to walk through your day with a sense of certainty that does not depend on circumstances. And as you remain loyal, something begins to stabilize within you. The feeling becomes more natural, more familiar. It no longer feels like something you are trying to maintain. It becomes who you are. And when it becomes your identity, the outer world must reflect it. There is no force required, no struggle, no manipulation, just unwavering loyalty to the unseen truth you have chosen, even when time passes, even when nothing seems to change. Even when doubt whispers that it is not working, you remain because faith is not measured by how quickly something appears. It is measured by how steadfast you remain. And in that steadfastness, in that unwavering loyalty, lies your power. The unseen reality you hold will not remain unseen forever. It will take form, it will become visible. It will express itself in ways you may not even expect. But it will come, not because you forced it, not because you chased it, but because you remained faithful to it. So choose your reality within and then stand by it. Stay loyal to it. Live from it, because in the end, faith is not about hoping something will happen. It is about knowing it already has and refusing to accept anything less. So now you understand there is nothing you need to chase, nothing you need to force, and nothing you need to wait for. The moment you claim the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the moment you accept it as real within yourself, the work is finished. The world may take a moment to catch up, but it must reflect what you have already become inside. Stay loyal to that feeling. Return to it when doubt appears. Stand firm in the unseen reality you have chosen. And in time, without struggle, without strain, you will watch your world reshape itself to mirror the truth you dared to feel first. Thank you for being here, for listening, and more importantly, for being willing to explore the power within you. If this message spoke to you, carry it with you, not just as words, but as a practice. Feel it, live it, become it, and watch what unfolds. Until next time, stay aligned with the reality you choose to feel.